Max loved playing in the woods behind his house. Every day after school, he would rush through his homework just so he could spend more time exploring the dense forest. The woods were his playground, filled with towering trees, chirping birds, and the occasional rustle of small animals. Max felt like an adventurer, discovering new paths and hidden nooks every time he ventured out. The forest was a magical place for Max. Big trees stretched their branches high into the sky, creating a canopy that filtered the sunlight into a soft green glow. Lots of birds flitted from branch to branch, their songs creating a symphony that Max never grew tired of. He knew the calls of each bird by heart and could mimic them perfectly. One day, as Max was wandering deeper into the woods than he had ever gone before, he heard a whistle. It wasn't the usual bird whistle he was accustomed to. This was different. It was loud and clear, echoing through the trees. It sounded like a train whistle. Max's heart raced with excitement and curiosity, but there were no train tracks in the forest. Max had explored these woods countless times and had never seen any sign of a train or tracks. The mystery of the whistle intrigued him. He stood still for a moment, listening intently, trying to pinpoint the direction of the sound.
What could it be? Max wondered. His mind raced with possibilities. Could it be a hidden train track that he had somehow missed? Or maybe it was a magical train that only appeared to those who truly believed in the magic of the woods. Max's curiosity got the better of him and he decided to find out.
Max ran towards the sound, his feet barely touching the ground as he sprinted through the familiar paths. The whistle sounded again, louder this time, urging him to hurry. Max's heart pounded in his chest, a mix of excitement and a hint of fear. What if he was about to discover something truly extraordinary? Max pushed through some bushes, the branches scratching at his arms and legs. He didn't care. The whistle was getting closer, and he was determined to find its source. He could feel the anticipation building with every step he took. The forest seemed to grow quieter, as if holding its breath in anticipation of what Max was about to uncover. And then he saw it. Max's eyes widened in disbelief. There, nestled between the trees, was a train. But it wasn't just any train. It was unlike anything Max had ever seen before. It looked old-fashioned, like the trains from the stories his grandfather used to tell him. But there was something magical about it. A train was puffing its way through the trees, its steam billowing into the air and mingling with the mist of the forest. The sound of the whistle was now deafening, but Max didn't mind. He was mesmerized by the sight of the train moving gracefully through the woods, as if it belonged there. But it wasn't a normal train. This train sparkled. Every inch of it seemed to shimmer with a light of its own, casting a magical glow on the surrounding trees. Max could hardly believe his eyes. He knew, in that moment, that he had stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. The whistle in the woods was no longer just a mystery. It was a magical adventure waiting to unfold. The train was made of chocolate. The windows were made of candy. The wheels were giant lollipops. It was the most delicious-looking train Max had ever seen. A sign on the train said, "Fairytale Land Express." Wow, Max wanted to go.
Next stop, Fairytale Land, all aboard!
Max jumped on the train just as it started to move. He was so excited. The train chugged along. It went past giant flowers and singing birds. Max saw a rabbit wearing a waistcoat and holding a pocket watch.
Excuse me, do you have the time?
He couldn't believe he was talking to a rabbit.
It's almost time for tea. You must be on your way to see the Mad Hatter.
The rabbit's eyes widened in surprise.
How did you know that?
The train stopped in a forest made of candy canes. The air was filled with the sweet scent of peppermint, and the trees sparkled with red and white stripes. It was like stepping into a holiday dreamland, where everything was made of candy and magic. Gingerbread men were running around, playing tag. Their laughter echoed through the forest, and their icing decorations glistened in the sunlight. They moved with such joy and energy, it was impossible not to smile watching them. Max hopped off the train to say hello. He had never seen anything like this before. The candy cane trees towered above him, and the ground was covered in a soft layer of powdered sugar. It felt like walking on a cloud. One gingerbread man offered Max a candy cane. The gingerbread man had a friendly smile and a twinkle in his eye. "Here you go," he said, handing over the candy cane with a flourish. "Welcome to our forest." It tasted like sunshine and rainbows. Max had never tasted anything so delicious. The candy cane was sweet and refreshing, with a hint of magic that made his taste buds dance with delight.
"Welcome to the candy cane forest," the gingerbread man exclaimed with pride. "This is a place where dreams come true and every day is a celebration. We have lots of sweets here," the gingerbread man continued, gesturing to the colorful assortment of candies that surrounded them. "From lollipops to gumdrops, there's something for everyone. But be careful not to eat too much," the gingerbread man warned, his tone turning serious. "Too many sweets can have unexpected consequences. Or you'll turn into a gumdrop," he said with a wink. Max's eyes widened in surprise. He didn't want to turn into a gumdrop, but the idea was so whimsical, he couldn't help but laugh.
Max giggled. That would be silly, he thought to himself. The candy cane forest was full of surprises, and he couldn't wait to see what other adventures awaited him. The train puffed on, arriving at a kingdom made of building blocks and stuffed animals. The air was filled with the scent of fresh paint and the sound of laughter. The kingdom was a place where every child's dream came to life, with towering castles made of colorful blocks and fields of plush animals as far as the eye could see. The train's whistle echoed through the valley, announcing its arrival to the magical land. But a grumpy dragon was guarding it. This dragon, with scales as dark as midnight and eyes that glowed like embers, was known throughout the land for his fierce demeanor. He stood tall and imposing at the entrance, his wings folded tightly against his back, and his tail swishing back and forth in irritation. The dragon's presence cast a shadow over the otherwise cheerful kingdom, making the toys tremble in fear.
"You can't pass!" roared the dragon. His voice was thunderous, shaking the very ground beneath the train. The toys on board huddled together, their eyes wide with fear. The dragon's roar echoed through the kingdom, sending shivers down the spines of even the bravest toys. It was clear that this dragon was not one to be trifled with. This is the Lost Toy Kingdom. The kingdom was a place of wonder and magic, where toys came to life and played all day long. The streets were lined with candy cane lampposts, and the buildings were made of gingerbread and icing. In the center of the kingdom stood a grand castle, its towers reaching up to the sky. The castle was made entirely of building blocks, each one a different color, creating a rainbow effect that dazzled the eyes.
Max bravely stepped forward. He was a young boy with a heart full of courage and a spirit of adventure. Max had heard stories of the Lost Toy Kingdom and the Grumpy Dragon, but he was determined to see it for himself. With a deep breath, he walked towards the dragon, his steps steady and his head held high. The toys watched in awe as Max approached the fearsome guardian.
"Excuse me, Mr. Dragon, but we just want to visit," he said politely. Max's voice was calm and respectful, showing no sign of fear. The dragon blinked in surprise, not used to being spoken to in such a manner. The toys held their breath, waiting to see how the dragon would respond. Max's politeness was a stark contrast to the dragon's gruff demeanor, and it seemed to catch the dragon off guard.
Max's kindness surprised the dragon. The dragon's fierce expression softened, and his eyes lost some of their fiery glow. He had never encountered anyone who treated him with such respect and kindness. The dragon's heart, which had been hardened by years of guarding the kingdom, began to melt. He looked down at Max, his curiosity piqued by the brave and polite boy standing before him. He had never been spoken to so nicely before. The dragon's mind raced as he tried to process this new experience. He had always been feared and avoided, but Max's approach was different. The dragon felt a strange warmth in his chest, a feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. It was as if Max's kindness was breaking through the walls he had built around his heart.
"Well," grumbled the dragon, "I suppose you can come in." The dragon's voice was still gruff, but there was a hint of softness in it now. He stepped aside, allowing Max and the toys to enter the kingdom. The toys cheered and clapped, their fear replaced with joy and excitement. Max had done the impossible. He had won over the grumpy dragon with his kindness and bravery. The Lost Toy Kingdom was now open to all, and the dragon had a new friend in Max.
The train climbed higher and higher, finally reaching a kingdom made of clouds. Fluffy sheep were having a pillow fight. Feathers flew everywhere.
"This is the best pillow fight ever!"
The sheep bawed with delight. They had never had so much fun with a human before. Max felt like he could stay in the Cloud Kingdom forever. Next stop was a garden filled with twinkling lights. Tiny fairies were having a tea party. They invited Max to join them. He sipped tea from a flower cup and ate tiny cakes.
Thank you for the tea party. It was magical.
The fairies giggled and flapped their wings.
We're glad you had fun. Come back and visit us anytime.
Soon, it was time for Max to go home. The train took him back to the meadow. Max waved goodbye to the conductor and all the amazing creatures he had met. Max skipped home, his heart full of joy. He couldn't wait to tell everyone about his incredible journey. That night, Max dreamt of candy cane forests and cloud kingdoms. He dreamt of talking rabbits and friendly dragons. He knew he would never forget his magical train ride to Fairytale Land. And even though it was just a dream, Max knew that magic could be found anywhere if you just knew where to look.